Hi there. I'm Jody Bentley, actor, producer, speaker, and teacher. Hello. How are you? Welcome to my Bravery in Business episode 7, which I'm very excited about. So, as an actor, I play women that are ambitious, determined, myopic, and obsessed to the extreme. As a producer, I tell stories that raise consciousness. And as a speaker and teacher, I talk about bravery in business. And when I talk about business, I'm talking about the business of acting, crowdfunding, entertainment, producing, business for creatives in general, and the business of life. Yes, because a lot of these skills are applicable not only to business in general, but in day-to-day interactions and networking, in life skills of how to be a balanced and sane individual. So here we are. And to me, bravery is the obsessed desire to authentically be yourself and not compromise your vision for your career or your life. I believe bravery is a choice, and I invite you to be brave with me. So today we are going to talk about emotions. And I was supposed to be on yesterday. My goal is to do these every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And my day got super crazy yesterday. So here I am on Friday joining you all. The method to my madness is I post a question on Monday and I speak on it on Tuesday and have a dialogue with you about your responses. I post a question on Wednesday and on Thursday we get to talk about it. So today we are going to talk about my midweek musing on Wednesday, which is, do you rule your emotions or do your emotions rule you? So let's look at what a few people said. Hello, Retta. Thank you for joining, talking about emotions. Hello. All right, so do you rule your emotions or do your emotions rule you? So let's see what some people said. Richard Pacheco said he rules them. Libby Letlow, a little from column A, a little from column B. I think that's probably how most of us experience and feel that. Laura Weiss said they rule her. Let's see what else. Someone said their emotions used to rule them, but they put a lot of work into learning how not to. People said depends on the day, which I'm sure we can relate to. I think my favorite post was Eli Kramer, that he said we dance, which I think is very honest. And, Ryan Robbins, what did she say? Oh, she referred to emotions as gremlins, which I thought was pretty interesting. So let's talk a little bit about emotions, because they come up, right? And when we are alone in our home and emotions come up, well, that's one thing. We can process them, feel them, and work through them, or let them overtake our day. But in terms of business, they're going to come up. How do we deal with them? How do we process emotions in a way that, oh God, how do I say this, is in alignment with the decorum of society? Does that even make sense? And still allows for our own personal experience to be heard. So here's the thing about emotions. Emotions are fleeting. And most of the time, they are not truthful at all. Okay, think about it. So first of all, there are visceral emotions, which are extremely truthful. You get bad news about someone. You hear about someone's passing or health or something like that, and a sadness automatically takes over. That's a visceral emotion. Or someone shares great news with you and you feel joyful. That just takes over your being. That's a visceral emotion. Hello, Gretchen. How are you? I'm so glad you joined. Hello. Those visceral emotions, they come from your core. They take over. They are not forced. They're not chosen. They just happen. And I believe there are other emotions where an experience happens, we process it in our brains, we think about it, it goes through our own filter of how we're choosing to see it, and mind you, this all happens in probably like 3 seconds, and then we have an emotion based on that. For example, moving from New York to LA, I got to get used to driving and dealing with people who drive that are not kind or good at it, right? I think we all can understand that to some degree. So if someone, oh, hello, Warren. Thanks for joining us today. Joining us. I'm speaking us of like the regal we. That was interesting. Thanks for joining me today, Warren. Great. So driving in LA, someone cuts me off. I can get angry in the moment, which, oh, I definitely have. And some words have come out of my mouth. And that is really my thought process going, that person's, excuse my language, an asshole, they're not paying attention, they didn't use their blinker, they're being destructive, whatever, and then getting angry through that filter. And I could see it through another angle. I could say, oh gosh, I hope everything's okay with that person. I wonder where they're getting to. I hope they didn't just get bad news and are trying to get to the hospital fast, or maybe their dog's in their car and they're taking them to the vet. Who knows what that person is experiencing? But I'm letting that one action infiltrate my being into anger, which that doesn't always feel so great. So now I'm in an angry state driving, which feels terrible, as opposed to choosing another way to see something, or choosing not to see it through my filter of LA is full of reckless drivers, choosing to experience it in a different capacity. Does this make sense? So I think there's two different emotions at play. Those visceral ones that overtake us, and then the ones that we really are seeing through our own filters. Yeah, and they're interesting. So like this week, I have two projects. Well, I have three projects that I am pitching and working on. And I found out on both projects this week that the celeb actor we were going after passed on the project. And we really thought on both that they were going to do it. And they both loved the project. It just wasn't what they wanted at the moment. And that happens, right? So what it was interesting on Wednesday when I got the news on both of them. And man, I just kind of like spiraled down. It was in this just funk place, right? And, you know, people telling me, oh, don't be upset. You just go on to the next one. And why are you sad? You're getting married. Things are great. And it's like, well, yes. And I'm feeling emotional right now. And I'm feeling depressed and frustrated and a little angry about that this didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. And what I didn't fully do was fully experience the emotions and the feelings to let it go. And that's what I want to talk about with emotions today, is the way to quote unquote rule your emotions is to experience them fully, because only then can you let it go through your body and release it. And I wouldn't let myself do that on Wednesday because I had too many things to do. So I didn't give myself the time or space to process it. And my day could have been a lot easier and smoother if I would have given myself that time and space to do so. Now, I do believe you get to experience your experience to the fullest and experience your emotions to the fullest. Again, to let them pass through. Now, how do we do that in business? You know, am I going to call up the agent at ICM and sob and get mad or tell them how frustrated I am that their client passed? Well, no, I can't do that. I mean, I could do that, but that's probably not a smart business move. And in business, I still get to have my emotional life. So I urge you, when things come up, to experience them fully and to become aware of them. Because really, a lot of times we just said like the emotion is not necessarily truthful, right? Oh, hello, Christian. Thanks for joining. The emotion is not necessarily truthful, and most of the time it's not. So once I was able to feel that emotion, take a step back from it, then I could start to examine it. So we want to experience the emotion and then examine the trigger point of the emotion. So what do I mean by that? Well, the actor passed on my project. I had feelings of sadness, frustration, anger, as I said. But what really was that? Why did that? What can I learn from that emotion? So when I really started to examine it, I realized um, that it just really pressed my buttons of I am not enough, I am not doing enough, um, and which then leads to me saying I'm a failure. So that one instance of someone saying, "Oh, I love your project, but I'm already booked for the next year," hit me so deep that these emotions happened, but my emotions weren't truthful because it was coming from old wounds and limiting beliefs that do not serve me at all. So that's what most of our emotions stem from, is a limiting core belief that we all have, which sometimes I like to call the deep wound. Hello, Lenora. You missed a lot. You better go back and listen. But yeah, I mean, the emotions come from the filter that we see it through, that we talked about, and how we process it. And you're processing it through that deep wound. So I heard that information from that agent as I'm not doing enough, I am not enough, and I'm a failure. So, of course, emotions of sadness, frustration, and anger came up. But when I realized that was just my limiting beliefs and not truth, and I felt the emotion fully, then I could let it go. So I do feel like emotions are liars. I do feel like emotions aren't truthful. And I do believe, though, that emotions are our greatest teachers to what is really going on, to what we're really believing, to how we are hearing things and filtering what we hear. And then how you're filtering it and hearing it, that is indicative of the choices that you inevitably are making thereafter. Does that make sense? So, yeah, so experience your emotion. Let it to let it go. Become aware of it, and then examine why. Why did this thing make me feel sad? Why did this thing even bring me joy? Why did this thing trigger frustration in me? And then you'll start to understand how you process information, which again is through your own stories, through your own filters. And then the more you understand that, you can easily recognize it the more you do it. And you'll be able to work through those emotions and not let them rule you, not let them throw off your entire week, not let them throw off your entire day or month, which people do. I mean, there's a lot of times we spiral down. I mean, gosh, I've done it, right? I'm sure you've done it. And then life feels roller coaster and chaos. But if we can understand the trigger points which create our emotions, the roller coaster and the chaos becomes less. And I suppose then you can put a label on that of feeling balanced, which we still get to talk about, balance. Hello, Vivian. Haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining. So, what else did I want to say on this? I had another thought. Oh, so I do believe when it comes to business. So that's how I feel about emotions, right? So in terms of business, like I said, I'm not going to call up that agent at ICM whose client passed on my project and sob and cry and be frustrated about it to them, because it has nothing to do with them. My emotions are mine. I am choosing to feel that way. I could have chosen to see that going, wow, okay, great, glad we got the answer. That's not the person for this project, and I can't wait to find the right person. That could have been how I chose to see it in the moment, but I didn't. So then how do we get to experience our emotions in business? So I think it's, like I said, having that societal decorum to not make other people uncomfortable. And it's then taking that space to experience it, right? So honoring yourself and giving yourself that time and space to experience things in business. And I also believe that vulnerability, sometimes we look down on that in business. Well, oh gosh, especially Well, I guess I don't want to speak for everyone, but as a woman in Hollywood, sometimes I feel like I get to prove myself, right? I'm in a man's world. I get to play the game. I get to prove myself. So if I am seen as vulnerable, if I'm seen as vulnerable, I'm seen as weak. And that um, was a filter I looked through for a long time, which I've shifted out of. But I do think that that is still there's some sort of residual thing there, right? Yeah, Lenore, I think a lot of dealing with millionaires and men in your business, yes. And how can we honor who we are and our vulnerability and our emotions and still play the game? Mm, that's probably another video and another topic. And yes, Vivian, life is what you make of it. It is what you make of it, and the stories that you choose to see through it, and the filter with which you choose to see things. Because there is really no truth, which we can see in our political realm right now. Is like everyone is seeing things through their own filter, right? So yeah, so owning your own vulnerability in business. So like for me, I was feeling down the other day, and so I was able to open up to my partner and go, you know what? I am just feeling down right now. I am just feeling super sad about this, and I just need some time and space to feel it. And she gave me that space, which was great. And said the same thing with my other partner, and he gave me that space, which was great. So I think for the longest time, I wouldn't allow myself to feel my emotions. I had put on an armor and would go, okay, cool, that made me sad. Now I get to be in action, and I know what to do to move forward, and let's just move forward. And guess what? That doesn't really work at all. I'm positive it's the reason why my previous marriage failed. I'm positive it was the reason why I had blinders on in my career, that I wouldn't really allow myself to feel how I was feeling. And people feel that tightness. People feel that non-accessibility, right? They feel that you're wearing an armor. And why does someone want to work with someone who's wearing an armor? So shed your armor. I challenge you to be brave and shed your armor and feel your emotions and be honest about them with the people in your life that matter most. Because if you can experience that emotion, share how you're feeling with someone, understand the trigger point of where that emotion came from, then you can fully let it go, and then you are vulnerable and human and present. And who the hell doesn't want to work with someone who is that? Okay, what are people saying? Oh, hello, Jonathan. Thank you for joining. Yes, Lenora, you are always serious. She said, hardcore bitch. I get it. I get it. And it's a story you're telling yourself that the only way to survive or be seen as having your shit together is to be serious and with an armor and to be hardcore. Think of the people that you respect and admire. Aren't they the people who shed that armor, that let it down, that, they're not a puddle of, tears and emotion all the time, but they allow you in. Vulnerability allows people in. They allow people to see you. Because I believe that society is a lot of, look, you buy my bullshit, I'll buy your bullshit, and then we're cool. Because how many times do you ask someone, how are you today? I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. How are you? Good? Oh, good. And then we talk about whatever. But are you really fine? Are you really good? But we all just accept that as an answer because we have this weird underbelly agreement of I'll buy your bullshit, you buy mine, because no one really wants to be vulnerable. So, I challenge you to experience your emotions fully, to let them go. I challenge you to become aware of the trigger point of those emotions and what filter and story that is your deep wound that you're seeing it through in that moment. And then I challenge you to be vulnerable about it and share it with someone, talk with someone, even write about it in your journal, get on Facebook Live and share it. Whatever it is. Because then that is you really ruling your emotions, for lack of a better word. It's really you being in control of how you want to live your life. And that is bravery at its core. Yeah. Oh, glad you love the challenges, Lenora. Excellent. So, God, I feel like I could keep talking about this, but we're already at 17 minutes. So I'm going to let you all go. But that's what I want you to take into the weekend. And that's what I'm going to take into the weekend, because I'm getting on a red eye tonight with my man. And we have a whirlwind weekend of wedding planning in Massachusetts, which is going to be filled with emotions that I get to experience and process through my filters, share with my partner and be vulnerable in the moment, and move forward. And I urge you all to do the same. So thank you all for joining. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. Sign up for my newsletter at jodibentley.com. And if you want to continue this dialogue, and if emotions plague you, and you don't have a strategy in your business to get those goals and visions that you want, well, sign up for a 20-minute consult, and let's talk about it further. I'm here for you. All right. Cool. Thanks, Christian. Awesome. Thanks, Lenora. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will talk to you on Tuesday. All right, bye.